You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host. Favorite host.
You know this freedom is anything but free. What we have here depends on those who will fight for what they believe. When we stand together, there's nothing that we can't achieve. This nation of people standing as one in the name of liberty.
Hello, America. Welcome to the program. This is another late night edition of the America Off the Rails show. It's kind of becoming a thing on Friday nights. Speaking of things on Friday nights, we have a recurring guest with us again this evening, Miss Jessie from Jessie's POV. Yeah, can you tell it's about about 36 minutes after we were planning on starting this because the last show went long and then we had prep to do. So anyway, we're live. How are you guys? Happy Friday night. Good evening, Miss Jess. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, I have to say, this late night BS in the Senate, I had to come on and talk about it. Now, I don't usually wade too far into U.S. politics, and I won't on my show. Hence why I said, Rick, I'm coming on. I don't remember if I actually asked or just told, but nonetheless,
You asked.
I asked.
Yeah, you asked. You hit me up yesterday. Can I come on AOTR tomorrow? Sure. And then wound up not being able to do the show till later. So, yeah, fun times.
Well, that's okay. Now, first of all, I have a phenomenal reading speed, and I have put this out on Coffee Shop. I read well above average. Even I, at my reading speed, which is almost 10 times the national average of 250 words a minute, would have struggled to read this bill in time to make heads and or tails out of it and make a reasonable vote on it. I'm sorry. This is not how it's supposed to work. This is absolutely not. In fact, this one is for the birds. Sorry, only bird sound I had. But, I'm sorry, if you're going to be a responsible member of the Senate, shouldn't you know what the flip you're voting on? Or am I missing something here, Rick?
No, I kind of thought that was the point, you know? I mean, the only other time I've seen anything this crazy was when Nancy Pelosi said they had to pass Obamacare to find out what was in it. So I guess now we had to pass the omnibus bill to find out what was in it.
Oh, well, there were all kinds of
crap in it.
There's a lot of crap in it that didn't belong in a budget bill.
But it's not a budget. Didn't you hear it's an omnibus bill, which means Donald Trump can do whatever he wants with the money, and Congress is stupid. At least that's what everybody that's still supporting Donald Trump says, while I'm over here laughing hysterically.
Okay, first of all, this spending bill, as far as I'm concerned, spending bills need to be spending bills. Period. End of discussion. We don't need to stick in gun control or anything else. It needs to be one topic. I really wish the Senate would go back to single issue bills, because this is getting BS-y. One of my favorite pieces of legislation will probably never see the light of day now because of this. Remember that 50-state reciprocity thing that sailed through the House along with the fixed NICS, and they combined it into one and sent it over to the Senate?
Yep.
Fix Nix was in the omnibus, but not the reciprocity.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was going to happen.
Oh, I know, but okay. Rick, the state issues you your driver's license, right?
Yeah.
Your driver's license is valid.
My wife, she says I got mine out of a Cracker Jack box, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, well, we're not going back to whether you're a good driver or not, but the actual piece of plastic you carry in your wallet was issued by the state.
Yeah.
All right. My concealed carry permit was issued by a state. Okay, so far that sounds about the same. Is your driver's license only valid in your home state? Or is it valid in all 50?
Well, for about another 12 months, it's valid in all 50. If we don't get up to national ID standards, it won't be, though.
Right, but if you get a driver's license, it's still going to be a valid driver's license. It just won't, you'll have issues with federal ID stuff, right? All right.
I'm just being facetious.
I know. Why is my concealed carry permit, which my marriage license is valid in all 50, my driver's license is valid in all 50, why isn't my concealed carry?
Money?
Probably.
I mean, you want the honest answer. There's most of it. Each state has the ability to regulate how much they charge for their licenses, what different things you have to go through to get the licenses, most of which require some form of training that you have to pay for, that requires some sort of licensing that you have to pay for, that requires some sort of a background check you've got to pay for. Each state charges different amounts. Each state makes you jump through different hoops. And if you can go online like in Virginia and get a license and it's good everywhere, then you're cutting the legs out from underneath other states that want to make you spend hours and hours and hours in a classroom and pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to be able to carry a gun. So you want the honest answer? Probably most of it revolves around money.
Probably. But now I will say, for those of you listening, before I get nasty grams, I understand there's reciprocity, unless Maryland won't accept any other state's concealed carry. And therefore most states don't accept Maryland's. We won't even get into California. I'm just not going there tonight, Rick. You really don't want me going there, do you?
Nah, I think we can save that for another night.
All right. California has been tabled, but we'll leave them out of it for the minute. What this bill specifically said was that my home state, we'll say Virginia for good measure. I get my permit in Virginia. I am a legal resident of Virginia. I am traveling to Florida. While I am in Florida as a visitor, that permit is valid. Now, what it would not have done would have allowed a Florida resident to go get an Oklahoma permit or a Texas permit or a Virginia permit and carry it in all 50. You have to be a legal resident of the state you have your permit in for the reciprocity to work. And I was I felt pretty bummed out when all that got blown up by them putting Fix Nix in this omni disaster. And by the way, this is what I think of most politicians right now.
Ooh, I love to dance a little side step. Now they see me, now they don't. I've come and gone. And ooh, I love to sweep around the white step. Cut a little swat and leave the people alone.
Well, alrighty then. Oh.
Tell me it doesn't fit, Rick.
Yeah, it fits.
I mean, right now, whether you have an R or a D after your name, I can't tell the difference with a few handfuls of exceptions. Now, I am not a particular Rand Paul supporter, although he has done some pretty interesting things on the floor. In fact, I didn't even know who he was till he did that filibuster one night and spent 16 hours up there talking. I'd never heard of the man before that night, but he caught my attention. So when I caught him on Twitter yesterday, I happily followed along with what he was saying. And I actually agreed with 90% of what the man had to say. Now, I am not from his state. I am not from Kentucky. I am quite happily from elsewhere. And where? That's none of your business. But he tweeted out 600 pages. And at one point, I have to say this one, he even tweeted it wasn't a Brad Thor novel. Because that might have actually been interesting. Oh, and some of his more interesting things is, you know, it was just, there's so much in this bill, it was just, okay, wait a minute. Did you realize that we were paying for border control in this bill?
So wait, we're paying for what in this bill?
There's actually funding for border control.
Yeah, but it's not our borders.
Bingo. We have $12 million for scholarships for Lebanon, $20 million for Middle East Partnership Initiative Scholarship Program, $12 million in military funding for Vietnam. Yes, we're paying $12 million so that the military in Vietnam can exist. $3.5 million in nutrition assistance for Laos. I'll kind of let that one slide. Here's the one that I really wanted to slap somebody over. $15 million in developmental assistance to China.
Yeah, so I have a question about that because that was one of the things that I read and I'm like, wait a minute, didn't we just slap all kinds of tariffs on China? So didn't we just kind of like, hey, say we're gonna tax the crap out of your stuff because you're not treating us fairly, but here's some free money.
Right.
I'm confused.
Oh, not to mention $10 million for female police officers in Afghanistan.
I have a question, and please don't misunderstand this question because I was going to look this up last hour and I didn't do it. Are there actually any female police officers in Afghanistan? Because I would find that kind of surprising.
No. But they want some, so they're throwing $10 million at it. Hint, the culture of the Middle East would never allow for a female police officer. Except women in Saudi Arabia just got the right to drive this year, but they still have to have I think it's a form or something signed by a legal male guardian to say that they have permission to drive. So no, the entire culture of the Middle East would not allow for a female police officer, Rick.
I didn't think so, but I was, trying to clarify, and I didn't want to come across as a racist or a sexist, so I knew if I asked a question and you answered it, at least it was coming from, the right gender. I mean, now that there's like 11 of them anyway, because, we don't have just two genders anymore.
I'm
now
sorry.
There's like 11 billion.
I go with biology.
Well,
I'll stick with biology.
Most of these people don't know from biology unless they're watching that old Grease skit. I'm sorry. I'm still kind of reading through some of Rand Paul's tweets last night.
I mean, I loved when he called it a crumnibus. By the way, we're selling off $350 million of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. No, we're not using that to reduce the $21 trillion in debt. The money will be spent elsewhere. I mean, this is no way, no offense, midnight hour votes, and yes, I was actually awake watching flippin' C-SPAN when the vote happened well after midnight. The vote to get the senators back in the chamber was taking place at midnight. And they actually had to get the sergeant of arms to start dragging people in. And by the way, there were 96. I think there were a few missing for health or other reasons. I mean, really? Oh, and by the way, did you know that Europe needed development and democracy?
Yeah, you know, the birthplace of democracy needed help with democracy. I don't understand the logic there.
And that's 218 million. I'm sorry. Somebody needs to get a flippin' grip. Now, all of you who listen to my show, Jesse's POV, you know bloody well, I am the first person to stand up and say support the military, right?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
All right. I am right there going, yes, if the military needs it, go with it. I even understand why sometimes they have $400 ashtrays. Would you like to know why?
Why?
Those ashtrays, I don't think they're in use anymore, but when they were originally done, they were designed for use on a submarine. And they were designed out of glass, and they were designed in such a way that if they broke, they would break into 3 pieces, not a bunch of little pieces, and there wouldn't be a bunch of sharp glass shards, because God forbid that submarine starts going rocking and rolling around underwater and things go flying.
Huh, interesting.
So that's why there were $400 ashtrays.
Is that why there are $50,000 toilet seats? Because, you know, for submarines?
I'd have to look into that one. I haven't been able to figure out that one. But I understand that special conditions do require special equipment in some cases. Not in all, but in some. I see no reason why the MREs in Afghanistan should be any different from the MREs in Iraq, should be any different from the MREs at Fort Bragg, Fort Hood, Fort Bliss, Fort Campbell, fill in the blank.
I'm going to start a petition to replace all the MREs with M&Ms with MREs with Reese's Pieces.
Actually, some have M&Ms and some have Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, I know, but they should all have Reese's Pieces. No, I'm just playing. We were in an argument today at work about favorite candies because we have a new supervisor and she had us fill out a survey about what we like to snack on, and I put down Reese's Pieces and everybody was like, M&Ms are better. I'm like, y'all are fascist. M&Ms are not better. Reese's Pieces all the way. But yeah, so anyway, when you mentioned MREs, it made me think of that because I remember I had the little side note here. My mom married a drill instructor in the Air Force, and he had a monthly ritual. At least once a month, we had to eat an MRE. The only time I was ever happy if I managed to score one with M&Ms, because back then MREs were even worse than they are now. They used to call them meals refused by Ethiopians. I think they might still call them that.
Actually, it's meals refused by everyone now.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they can't say meals refused by the Ethiopians because that would be like culturally insensitive or some crap. But yeah, so anyway.
Thank God. Speaking of MREs, there was one called the veggie omelet. That one I saw firsthand refused by at least 2 dogs. 2 starving, homeless dogs. And then I told the story to a rabbi, and he's like, then I wouldn't classify it as food.
Nice.
Yeah. And thankfully, they have since retired that particular menu item. I'm sorry, there was nothing good about that MRE.
Yeah, my experiences with MREs really weren't much better.
So, hey, They have some that are really good. I think chili mac is a common military favorite. So.
That's like one of my least favorite things ever, but that would, yeah. You even mentioning chili mac and my stomach went, nope.
Well, did you know on most bases the walkway, street, or road near the gas chamber is usually called Chili Mac Way or Chili Mac Road or Chili Mac something? Because
yeah, it always gives you gas.
Not only that, but sometimes things go the wrong way after a situation in a gas chamber.
Yep.
So, I have to, like I said, I have to say, Rand Paul actually stood up for what he believed. And I watched the vote. He voted no on cloture. He wanted more time with this bill. And then he also voted no on the bill itself. And I had people coming back to me today saying, oh, no, I'm sure he voted for it. No, he didn't. I was actually watching. So, and I went back and checked the record to be sure that I hadn't misheard. Now, I almost wish Trump had vetoed it. Not that I wanted to see our government shut down. But I almost wished he would have vetoed it.
Well, so here's my take on this, and for those of you that were listening last hour, you've heard this, but I'm going to say it again anyway. The issue is, and one of the reasons why these omnibus bills have become as popular as they have been, is because it's a way for them to basically take multiple budget things, cram them into one huge package, and usually by the time they're done, they've managed to cobble through something that would basically be veto-proof, because everybody wants something that's in there and nobody wants to vote against it. Otherwise, they're not going to get the stuff that they want. So my problem with all of this, and I explained this last hour, I'm twofold. One, I'm pissed because Trump didn't veto it. But I'm also pissed because now we're getting to see the real Trump. But the thing about it is he had a win-win scenario here because it was technically completely veto-proof. He still could have said, you know what, I want the military spending that is in this, but because of everything else that's in this, I can't sign it. You guys are either going to have to go back and fix it, or you can overturn my veto. Because if he would have done that, nobody would be slamming Donald Trump tonight, except for maybe the media, and they already do that anyway. But now he's got most of his base to the point where I've seen people that were staunchly on board with him that are like, I'm not ever voting Republican ever again. I don't care who I got to vote for, but I'm not voting for them. Because the thing about it is, the Democratic talking point on that was, well, if he vetoes it, we'll just remove the military spending. No, they wouldn't have, because he's already taken them to the mat for trying to remove military spending once before. They wouldn't do that again. That's why they lost this battle the last time. And it would have been the perfect move for him because it would have put a target on all of the big spenders in Congress. But now everybody's screaming about him instead, except for the handful of people that don't care what he does because he's Trump.
Well, like I said, now I know part of the thing was that everybody had flown the coop. Trust me. I was watching last night. As soon as that vote was done, that Senate chamber was bloody empty. And you can bet they were all finding their pillows or a way out of Dodge. So by the time he signed it today, I don't think there were enough senators or congressmen in town to override a veto, probably not even enough to have a quorum.
That's not my problem.
No, it's not, but it would have been another plane ticket at taxpayer expense most likely, but I would have understood that plane ticket. I would have rather written all 500 of them plane tickets than to see $1.3 trillion in wackadoodle spending passed. Now, have you noticed Trump can't seem to get anybody appointed?
Yeah, I've noticed.
Well, so have I, but you know what, when we're going to have to take that one up?
After the break?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Where's my chicken dinner?
You don't want a big chicken dinner because that's a bad conduct discharge, darling.
I've never been in the military. They couldn't give me a bad chicken dinner if they wanted to.
So, you going to send us to commercial break, or am I? Well, we will see you on the other side.
You're out here acting so tough, and now I'm calling your bluff. Black hoods and no faces. We'll take it out to the streets. That's where we can meet. You bring your sticks, I'll bring gauges.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687. 687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
We'll take it out to the streets. That's where we can meet. You bring your sticks, I'll bring gauges. Just don't know what you've been asking for. This means war. Lock 'em up, knock 'em down. This means war.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is America Off the Rails. I'm your host, Rick Robinson. We're live on KLRNRadio.com. Typically, we do this thing every Tuesday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. However, tonight we're doing a late night edition of America Off the Rails again, capping off Friday night, late night, right here with my guest from Jess's POV and Jesse's Coffee Shop, one Jessica Sanders. We've been talking about the Crumnibus Bill, or as I like to call it, the Craptastic Crumnibus Bill. We're going to change topics, though, because now we've got some other stuff we want to make sure we get to for the last half of the show. Some of it might be an explanation as to why it is the current president seems to not be able to really get anybody appointed. Take it away, Jess.
Well, I mentioned previously I was watching C-SPAN last night, right? Now, I was half listening, I will admit that. But some things just catch your attention, and you have no choice but to sit up and pay attention. And I've got to thank Senator Barrasso for this one. And he has provided me with multiple audio clips. I will let him explain the first one. And yes, it is about a minute in length.
President, earlier this week, this Senate voted to confirm Kevin McKellinan to be the Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. This is a national security job. It's the person in charge of making sure that America has secure borders. He was approved unanimously by the Senate Finance Committee that voted on it before he came to the floor. Now, in spite of that unanimous vote, the Democrats in this body still delayed this nominee from taking office for as long as they could. They forced the majority to file cloture on it. And we had the vote last week, but we had to wait to do it, spend the time, and in the end, 30 Democrats, the Democrats who demanded we hold a cloture vote and delay the vote, 30 Democrats voted in favor of his confirmation. Mr. President, this had nothing to do with his qualifications for the office. They just wanted to delay and obstruct. That's what we're dealing with here, Mr. President.
All right, so what's that sound like to you, Rick?
Sounds like Democrats being Democrats.
Well, do you think the Republicans might have done this when, let's say, Obama was in office?
I'm going to say not. If it was done, it wasn't done anywhere near to the magnitude it's being done now. The Republicans have always kind of been the party of, hey, they're the ones in charge now. We should at least try to let them do most of what they want to do. Democrats don't usually return that favor, though.
All right, well, take a listen. Again, Senator Barrasso.
There were 15 people confirmed after a cloture vote at this point for the previous 4 presidents combined. So if you take a look.
15 after cloture votes for 4 presidents.
Yeah, so just to make sure everybody's on the same page, that's not 15 for each of the 4 last presidents. That's 15 total across 4 administrations. So we're talking about an average of about 3.1 per administration. Well, 3.3 per administration.
A little over 3 per administration. All right, I'm going to let him start this over because I want to hear I'll play the whole thing uninterrupted this time.
There were 15 people confirmed after a cloture vote at this point for the previous 4 presidents combined. So if you take a look at the previous 4 presidents, Obama, Clinton, both Bushes, total of 15 votes were taken requiring cloture in each of those presidency total. So what about President Trump? 50 people, 50, have been confirmed only after deliberate delays by the Democrats, forcing us to waste time on cloture votes.
Well, looks like you were right, Rick.
Yeah, been kind of obvious that the Democrats have been stonewalling on pretty much everything that Trump's been trying to do as far as a lot of his appointments. And, as irritated as I am with Trump, it's still, fact of the matter remains he hasn't been able to do very much inside his own administration as far as being able to get a lot of his appointments done. And we're not even necessarily just talking about judges. We're talking about, really, really key positions.
Oh, well, I'll let Barrasso explain this.
We're just talking here about presidential appointees in the executive branch. This delay is unproductive, and it is unprecedented.
Says it all right there. He's only discussing delays in the executive branch. That doesn't count the DOD. That doesn't count anywhere else. Executive only.
That's just crazy to think about when you start to think about the fact that we have basically the minority party is holding up the entire government.
Well, they are.
The United States.
Whoop, wrong audio clip. This is not time for Nikki Haley. And for those of you can't see my board, you don't want to know how much audio I have open on my screen tonight. Let's just say it's too much, right, Rick?
Yeah.
More than 25 audio files?
That's a lot.
Like I said, it's too much. So, I was not going for Nikki Haley, as wonderful as she is. Now, let's see if this is the right audio.
We're just talking here.
Okay, yeah, we're at least back to Barrasso.
Democrats are insisting on cloture votes because there's a Senate rule that allows for up to 30 hours of debate on presidential nominees. And after we've had that vote, and so in reality, very little of this time is actually spent on debating the nominees or their credentials to serve in the office for which they've been nominated.
All right, so how many hours do you think the Democrats spent on the floor of the Senate debating Mike Pompeo for CIA director?
11 billion.
Let's find out.
It's a pattern of ongoing obstruction.
They actually spent 2, and I'm looking for the audio to prove it.
Republicans wanted to vote on Mike Pompeo's nomination to be head of the Central Intelligence Agency, an important key position in any president's group. But we already had the debate in the Foreign Relations Committee. We could have had a debate on the floor that evening. Nope, small number of Democrats blocked it, forced us to have first a cloture vote and wait ongoing time, delaying the process from the day one, inauguration day of the administration.
So this started day 1, Rick.
Let's say, how much of the 30 hours did the Democrats actually spend debating this person's qualifications to be head of the CIA? Less than 2 hours. Waste 30 hours of the whole time, only 2 hours was used in debate.
Does that sound like
another 28 hours?
Utter nonsense?
But that's the thing. when, filibuster was like a real thing, and, the 30-hour debates, and you got to be able, because there used to be these rules, like if they were going to use the 30-hour rule or they were going to try to do a filibuster, they couldn't ever leave the floor. No potty breaks, no, we're going to go grab a sandwich, none of this. Somebody else come take my time, and I'm going to...
A senator who was willing to hold the floor for, take over for them, they basically swapped out.
Yeah, but still, the filibusters today and the cloture vote holders and all those things, it's not anything like it was before. If we were holding them to the same kind of rules we always used to hold them to, this kind of crap couldn't happen. Look at the combined age of most everybody in the Senate right now. If you actually made most of these people that were screaming and yelling for 30 hours actually stay on the floor for the whole 30 hours, they would pass out because it would be past 4:30 and they missed their early bird special.
Oh, well, unless they're live streaming to Facebook because they're doing a sit-in.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised most of them can figure out how to use Facebook.
That was one of the younger ones that actually figured that out, and that was actually admitted to.
I was going to say, it was either one of the younger ones, one of their interns, or one of their great-grandkids showed them how to do it.
One of the younger ones' kid had probably taught them. But yeah, one of the younger ones said, well, we'll just stream to Facebook. Because C-SPAN was turning off its cameras because, well, the Senate had been gavelled out of session. Or the House, or whoever it was.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That the Democrats spent on this floor giving their reasons why they wanted to vote against the nominee. Nothing to do with Mr. Pompeo. It was just so Democrats could waste 3 more days allowing nothing else to happen, blocking other activities in the Senate. And the rules allowed the Democrats to stall, and they took full advantage of the rules. Mr. President, it is time, in my opinion, to end this partisan spectacle. We have 78 more nominees for various jobs who've made it through their committee hearings and are waiting for a vote on this floor.
That's a lot, 78. Now, and I'm looking for the exact spot, Senator Brasso goes on to describe what was done during the previous 4 administrations. The cloture vote and 30 hours of debate was for cabinet-level positions only. And even then, it wasn't always used. But all the undersecretaries and all these other positions, they were just voted. They allowed 8 hours for debate. So I think it's time to go back to it.
But the administration still has to waste time to get their team in place, and yet Democrats aren't using the rules for debate. They're not using the rules for deliberation. It is only for delay.
Because they don't want to see Trump do anything. They want him to go down as a failed president. And I know none of this stuff would ever be used in a campaign ad, but boy, could it make a good campaign ad.
It should be used in a campaign ad. It won't be, but it should be.
I mean, I'm the geek. What can I say? I'm the goofball that's up late at night watching things actually happen on C-SPAN. Everybody's least favorite TV channel.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you and one other person in the whole country are the ones that are usually watching C-SPAN.
Well, you can bet all the aides probably had it on back in the offices so they knew when to schedule the plane tickets.
Probably.
In 2013 and 2014, the rules said that we would have a full 30 hours of debate only for cabinet secretaries. For all other executive branch presidential appointees, only 8 hours of debate. But today we allow 30 hours on every nomination. And Democrats have shown that in most cases, it's far too much time.
I think he's got a point, Rick. What do you think?
I think he's got an excellent point. Not going to matter because nobody's ever going to be willing to do anything about it, but he's got an excellent point.
I mean, it's just one of those things that this is positively ridiculous. I knew things were bad, but I didn't realize they were this bad myself until I just happened to be watching to see if Rand Paul would stay true to his word and vote no. Yes, that's what had me at least keeping an ear out. And I just happened to pick up this gem. In fact, I went back, I was watching on a computer, I went back on another computer and pulled this up and recorded it separately.
Nice.
What can I say? Things I do in my spare time while I'm waiting for someone halfway around the world to pick up the phone. Now, there's one other thing of controversy that happened this week in the administration that kind of got overshadowed by the Crumnibus bill. John Bolton.
Yeah, well, the media's been having a bit of a field day with Bolton because, now they've suddenly forgotten that he actually does have qualifications to do the job because, he's been a Fox News commentator now for the last few years. But never mind everything he did before that, because it just proves that everybody from the Donald Trump administration at one point or another has been on Fox News.
And how many media darlings did Obama hire?
Or Clinton, for that matter.
Exactly. John Bolton is an attorney, believe it or not. Before he was Ambassador Bolton, he worked for the DOJ. Yes, he worked for the DOJ.
Actually, I got to meet him in SRLC 15. He and G were sitting across the table from him doing it, or me and G were doing an interview with him for about 20 minutes. And actually, it was probably that and the interview of at that point, the state labor commissioner were probably my two high points of SRLC, other than getting to meet the governor. What stuck out with Bolton, though, was the dude has laser sharp focus. He's intelligent, he's articulate, he can speak well. I mean, you can tell he's done public service life for quite some time because he's quick on his feet. He's a funny guy. He's got a great sense of humor. He was actually cracking jokes with me and G before we ever started recording. And I personally found the guy really, really likable, and I know he did a great job as an ambassador, and I know he's got the experience to do it, but the media was just completely tearing him apart today. As a matter of fact, one of the things that they tried to draw a correlation of is with this whole Trump-Russia thing. I guess they've decided in Great Britain to get warrants to search Cambridge Analytics. Well, now they've tried to point out that Bolton's had a think tank or some sort of firm or something back in like 2012, 2013-ish that actually hired Cambridge Analytics. And I'm like, if you've paid any attention to politics at all, Cambridge Analytics has been a name in politics since basically the day it was founded. So what the hell? But anyway.
It would be a question of who hasn't paid Cambridge Analytics at some point?
Yeah, kind of like the whole Stormy Daniels thing. Who hasn't? Just saying.
I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, Stormy Daniels did not happen in the White House. We knew what kind of person this man was before he sat in the office with no corners. Get over it. Get on with yourself and find something else to talk about. Well, I guess Bolton has lately become that thing. Now, everybody is terrified and claiming that he is a warmonger. I don't think so. I think he actually just doesn't see the world through rose-colored glasses. He's willing to call a spade a spade. I mean, the guy graduated from Yale Law School. So he's no idiot.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not one of those. The media likes to treat him like he is, but he's definitely not an idiot.
I mean, I'm sorry. And I think he'd be a great national security advisor. Because I'm sorry, I don't want somebody with rose-colored glasses giving the president advice. We've seen how that works out, right?
Yeah.
Oh, ISIS is the JV team. Right.
Yeah, That was a great one, wasn't it? ISIS, the JV team, who was only kicking our butts for most of the last part of your second 4-year term because they were the JV team and all. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but there was nothing JV about them. And one thing about Ambassador Bolton, he takes no prisoners. He holds no bar. It's no holds barred for him. He will tell you what he thinks and tell you exactly and go right with it. I mean, he opposed the Iran nuclear deal. And I think I think one of the reasons McMaster's is being shown the door is because he wanted Trump to continue certifying and try and back it. But I've said this before, and I will say it again. The Iran nuclear deal isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Because while it may provide for inspections within the borders of Iran, Iran is currently building bases in Syria. And by the way, Syria is rumored to now have possibly be building a new underground nuclear facility, so Israel can't bomb that one into the Stone Age like they did a decade ago.
Oh,
So, do you want someone who actually understands all these players and isn't looking through rose-colored glasses, or do you want the rose-colored glasses back? I'm sorry. I'll take reality. Thank you. I may not like it, but at least I know that the people who are advising the president are looking at the world as it is, not how they wish it was. And I think Bolton, I would have liked to have seen him get the job on day one. Now, thankfully, for all those who are wondering, Bolton cannot be held up by the Senate. National Security Advisor is not a confirmable position. It's kind of like Chief of Staff. You get who you want.
Yeah, that's the only plus side is there's no way for them to hold it up because they want to. They really, really, really want to.
Oh, they'd love to, but unfortunately, guess what they can do about this one? Womp womp. Fail. Nothing. They can yell and scream, but Trump's going to get who he wants because it's one of those non-confirmable positions. I mean, he understands. The other thing about Bolton is, especially after having served at the UN, he understands the insanity that is the Middle East. And I could go on about it, but, he understands why things are the way they are over there, and that no amount of talking is ever going to fix it. Now, some people are saying the ousting of McMaster means there's no more adults in the room except for Mattis. I beg to differ. I'm sorry, I'm willing to call John Bolton an adult.
Well, he's probably I hate to say this, but in the Trump administration, he's probably going to be one of the only adults in the room.
Well, hey, don't discount Mattis.
I'm not. There's three that I consider adults now. Him, Mattis, and Nikki Haley. Everybody else, not so much. I'm not really so sure. Just saying.
Right. I mean, but you got to give those three, at least, the credit they deserve. And I happen to say that for everything Nikki Haley has done and tried to do, she has absolutely been a force to reckon with on the floor of the United Nations. Most people aren't aware of how much she does, and I've kind of I was watching C-SPAN last night. Some days I'm watching UN footage. Yeah, I know. Ultimate and boring programming. But at least I'm informed, and nobody can say I misquoted anything when I get it straight from the horse's mouth.
This is true.
I mean, if I've got the quote of that person saying it in their own words, how did I misquote it? But like I said, I don't get it some days. Why do they want people who have a skewed view of the world to advise the president who needs to make, there's the old saying, if it's a choice between good and bad, someone else will handle it. The only decisions that make their way into the Oval Office are between bad and worse. So don't you want someone who understands both bad and worse sitting right there with them?
You would think that would be a good plan, yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, but this is just absolutely getting to the point of insanity. And I don't know what's going to happen in the midterms. Personally, I think some of their campaign advisors and news people need to go spend a little more time on C-SPAN to get some of this audio. They won't, but they should. Because you want to know why Trump can't do anything? 78 of his nominations just for the executive branch are being held up by the Dems. Rick, did I lose you?
I was kind of cutting out for a second. My Audacity went nuts. I think it's better now, though.
Well, I can definitely hear you. Except I can hear myself coming back through.
It'll probably work itself out in a second. I had to refresh the audio engine to get it back. That usually causes a bit of a feedback loop for about 30, 45 seconds.
Yeah, I've been there. Except it's still going on. But anyway, so why don't you tell me what you think of Bolton and the fact that he's been nominated?
Actually, that's been probably the only bright spot for me for the last couple of days was his nomination as NATSEC, because I think he'll do a great job. I really do. And like I said, I've met him. I'm not going to say we're like best of friends or anything, but we actually talked for a few minutes, and I've interviewed him. Seems like an all-around pretty good guy, well-rounded, level-headed. I think he's great for the position. He's got the experience, no matter what CNN says. And like I said, for me, over the last 48 hours news cycle-wise, that's probably been one of the only bright spots, because something else that we didn't really talk about much on the show that I think we need to talk about is the parts of the omnibus bill that actually impact things like them starting to try to put together studies to try to determine how to make sure that people that have mental disabilities aren't allowed to have access to handguns. Not to mention the fact that at the same time, while Donald Trump is signing this omnibus bill, they basically just passed I think it was an executive order of some kind that actually outlawed bump stocks. Which, for those of you who don't really understand what a bump stock is, despite what Donald Trump tweeted today, that doesn't make the gun a machine gun. By definition, that's not possible. It's also a device developed for the Americans with Disabilities Act. There was no need to ban bump stocks. What we should have done is do the same things that we do with other things that people are allowed to use when they have disabilities. Is if it's something that only should be used by people with a particular disability, they should have to go to a doctor to be able to get whatever it is that they are required to have because they have a particular disability. That way they can't just go buy them at a gun show. I mean, because we've now just made it impossible for people with certain disabilities to even enjoy the sport of shooting because it's impossible for them to perform the actions. That's what the bump stock was invented for.
Well, I agree with that it should have been handled differently, but I actually got the opportunity about a month ago, and I haven't talked about this on air or anywhere else, to fire a weapon with a bump stock.
It's crazy.
I couldn't control it. I didn't feel safe. As soon as I could, I put that thing down.
Well, I mean, it's not really designed for the way that it gets used. It's designed to make it easier with people with disabilities to pull a trigger. It's not designed to be this nonstop, you pull it once and you just let the centrifugal force of the gun moving back and forth continue to pull the trigger. That's not really what it was supposed to be used for. Somebody figured out it could be used that way. But the thing, like you said, with a bump stock, because I've shot them, you can't hit what you're aiming at. Half the time you're lucky if you can even aim, because it's literally like shooting an old school Tommy gun, except it's not a machine gun. It just goes all over the place, which is what the Tommy gun was known for back in the day. That's why they used to call it spray and pray.
They still do call it spray and pray.
But anyway.
Well, Rick, guess what?
Yeah, no, we're coming up to probably about a minute left.
We're actually over.
I didn't think we started till like 36 after, so I thought we had about another minute left. But I don't really. It's after 1:30 where you are and after midnight where I'm at, so I really don't care because, I have to be up early again. So let's go.
All right. For anyone wanting to hang out with me when I'm not on the air, either hanging out with Rick or doing my own show Monday through Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern, called Jesse's POV, you can follow me on Twitter at Radio Host Jesse. Or for those of you old school folks, you can send me your hate mail, comments, praise, etc. at Jesse, Jessie, at KLRNradio.com.
All right, folks, and if you like what we're doing here, make sure, first of all, please follow along with the station at KLRNradio on Twitter. Also, you can follow along with me at Radio Host Rick, and typically I am live here every Tuesday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Also, Tuesday, Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern. Friday night, 11 p.m. Eastern. In other words, I'm a workaholic. My name's Rick. It's been forever since my last meeting. We are out for the night, folks. Take care. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. We've made it through another work week. And just a few more days, and I actually get to take a vacation from the day job. Yay! See you guys next week. Take care.